Invincible Season 3 has proved that there is a major flaw in the series, and that is the fact that because it took such a long time in between Seasons 1 and 2, with today's TikTok attention span, a lot of its fan base can't remember what happened in Season 1 with Cecil and Omni-Man. For those who do not remember, Omni-Man went through the original Guardians under Cecil's employment like a knife through hot butter, on a whim because he wanted to. I think it's very fair to say that that would give some people trust issues, especially after how long Cecil had worked with Omni-Man side by side. It left him in a state of helplessness, a state that he never wanted to find himself in again. Now, that being said, what he did to Mark was way over the line. But if we look at this from a rational standpoint, Cecil has one line of defense between Omni-Man, the rest of Viltrum, and Earth, and that is Mark. And the second Mark switches sides, if it ever happens, Earth's fucked. Cecil doesn't give a fuck about Mark's feelings. All he cares about is protecting the planet. He's not a good guy. He is the guy who will do whatever it takes to save the planet, even if it means betraying the trust of someone he does genuinely like. But let's be honest, if there is even a sliver of doubt in his mind as to whether or not Mark will stand up to Viltrum or take Earth as priority, there is justification for Cecil to do what he did to Mark. It doesn't mean it's right, but it's justifiable. And you should at least be able to understand that. When your one and only job is keeping the world safe, and you are left in a position of absolute helplessness, that is a position you never want to find yourself in again. One of the biggest arguments I see from Mark's side is that Mark is trustworthy. And Mark has almost sacrificed his life to save Earth. Yeah, sure. How many times did Omni-Man do the same thing? You're going to sit there with absolute certainty and tell me that there's not even a little bit of a possibility that maybe Omni-Man beating the shit out of Invincible but leaving him alive was a ploy? Invincible stays there, says, yeah, I'm going to protect Earth from my evil father. And then when the army shows up, Invincible's like, all right, guys, they're right here. Go ahead. He gains the trust of everybody and then turns on him. You're going to tell me that's not a possibility? After what Cecil had been through with Omni-Man, I'd never trust anybody ever again. And a lot of people are saying like, oh, well, Cecil went full dictator when Mark came at him. Or they're saying that Mark wasn't the aggressor. Did you watch the episode? Pay very close attention here. Who is calm? Who is expressing no escalation in their voice tone, their body language? Who is coming off as aggressive?
Are you working with DA Sinclair? Calm down.
That's one on the calm down counter. Second of all, Mark works for Cecil, so him coming in and bursting in the door to yell at his boss, I can understand Cecil's frustration. You can't come into my place of work when I'm your boss and talk to me like that. So let's not act like that's justifiable. He didn't even try to have a conversation with Mark. He didn't try to explain things.
He almost killed William. He should be in prison.
He can't fix his mistakes in prison, Mark. Neither can Darkwing.
What are you even talking about?
Refusal to even acknowledge that Cecil had a point, or an explanation.
Sinclair's a genius. Darkwing cracked from fighting endless crime in Midnight City. You don't waste people like that. You reform them. Repair them. Let them make restitution for their mistakes.
Mistakes? They murdered people! Rick still isn't right after what Sinclair did to him.
Sinclair's new reanimator are made with donated corpses. Darkwing will never kill again. They both went through severe psychological reprogramming.
Clear, concise explanation with no escalation.
They save lives now, Mark, and are repaying the very substantial debt they owe us all.
That is bullshit, and you know it!
Is it? You killed Angstrom Levy. Should I lock you up too? Throw away the key?
You know that was different.
Now, a lot of people have said here that this is escalation and this is him antagonizing Mark. No, he's making a comparison and showing Mark that he's being hypocritical. That's not the same thing. And Mark, even here, tries to make excuses as to why it was justifiable. And what's Cecil's reaction?
A man's still dead because of you.
And I think about it every single day. But he almost killed my mom and brother.
Exactly. You were trying to save lives, which is what I'm trying to do, so how about you extend me the same privilege and go home?
No way. I'm not going in.
Now, Cecil explained all of that clearly, concisely, never getting angry, never getting frustrated, just explaining. And then asks Mark, hey, all I'm trying to do is keep the peace. Why don't you go home? Please. extend me the same courtesy you've given yourself. And what's Mark's reaction?
No way. I'm not going anywhere until Sinclair and Darkwing are both back in prison.
That's twice. Cecil asked Mark to calm down and talk it out or leave. And guess what? Mark didn't. Not only did he not, he then made a threat. I am not leaving until those two are back in prison. He made an ultimatum. At which point, Cecil counters his ultimatum.
Go home, Mark, before you do something you'll regret.
Go home number 3.
I told you, I'm not leaving until... Wait, why are we in here again?
Please go.
What are you hiding in here? Who else is working for you?
The White Room is for my protection.
Protection from what?
From you, Mark. From you.
Now, here's where Mark claims to be 100% innocent. I've done nothing. All I do is help people.
Abilities I only use to help people.
Who are you helping right now? You see things one way and you won't make room for any other viewpoint. You threaten people who disagree with you.
I don't threaten.
No? Because you're scaring the shit out of me right now.
Mark then claims, I'm not even doing anything. This is a man who could speed blitz Cecil so fast his hand would be through the back of Cecil's skull before he could even blink, and claims that he's not doing anything provocative, while he's screaming in Cecil's face, refusing to listen or calm down. Of course Cecil was scared. Now what happens next?
I'm not even doing anything. What is this? You think you can shut me up?
Mark?
He tries to further approach Cecil. The Reaniman try to step in and stop him. And what does he do? He starts tanking him. Mark threw the first punch. Cecil then proceeds to say, if you stand down, we can talk this out. Now let's watch on.
Is that all you got?
Why did you have to ask that, kid? Happy? Now stop.
Not until you admit to everyone what you've done.
Mark, I don't want to hurt you.
I'm not the one who's gonna get hurt.
Threw the first punch, made the first threat.
You said you don't do threats.
Yeah. Well, people change.
Cecil asked him if he was serious, and he was like, yeah, I'm serious. Now Cecil pleads one final time.
Don't, Mark. I'm warning you.
Now when we see Mark laying on the ground, where's he laying? Right in front of Cecil, right? Kind of like he was going directly at Cecil. This was not an empty threat. Cecil tried to calm him down 3 separate times, pleaded with him one final time to walk away and not do it, and Mark did it anyway. Cecil's reaction was not unprovoked and was not unwarranted. One hit from Mark would end his life. Mark's frustration was 100% justified. Cecil's actions, although a very large overstep, are understandable in the world that they live in. In a world where Mark is your only defense against outside forces, and the only way you can make him cooperate is to make him cooperate, if it comes to that, is understandable. It's not a good guy thing to do. It's not morally right, but it's understandable. And at the end of the day, if Mark went evil and then Cecil did this, while morally compromised, he'd still be the hero. But to all the people who are saying that Cecil provoked Mark, you could not be more wrong. Mark threw the first punch, he made the first threat, all while Cecil was trying to talk him down. Mark was 100% the aggressor.